Perfect. Cool.
There we
Connor,
go.
hit record. Yeah, we'll share it afterwards. Nick, welcome. Julie, welcome. All right. Hi, everybody. Zina's going to do the grand introduction.
Thank you. So welcome everyone, and thanks for dialing in so promptly. So I think most of you know that for over 30 years, Ideas UK has been at the forefront of workplace innovation. Our purpose really is to support organisations' sustainability through the power of innovative thinking. And we are absolutely delighted that we have Grant and Connor with us today to share their knowledge with our network. And they are actually committed to a whole series of which this is the first. So we're going to bring you a knowledge nugget, or they're going to bring you a knowledge nugget every single month. So with that, I will hand straight over to Grant and say thank you for supporting us.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Zina. It's our absolute pleasure to be with you today. We love innovation, so anything innovation is what we're all about. So it's a real pleasure to share with you, and looking forward to this collaboration. Too cool. Let's tell you a little bit more about what we're going to do. Before we jump in, can I ask you just to mute yourself? So you're very welcome to put your video on if your connection's up to it. We love to see who's here. I think that's the weirdest thing about remote meetings and remote training is often you have these connections with people and you can never quite see them. So video on if you like it. Please mute if you don't mind, and then we will do a Q&A at the end. As we go through, please don't hesitate to drop comments into the chat. We're monitoring the chat as we go. So anything you want to ask or comment on at any time, drop it into the chat. So let's jump in. A little bit about the Innovation Network. Started by a co-founder, Rodi Vonk, who's based out of the Netherlands, and myself, and we're a worldwide network of international training experts on innovation. So training, coaching, consultancy, anything to do with innovation, it's right up our street. And we hope that through these knowledge nuggets, we can give you some really tangible, practical skills and tools to take and use immediately, and that's our goal. So the title for today's session is Tools for Innovation and Collaboration. And I wanted to just start off with a quick icebreaker, and can I ask you into the chat to drop in what innovation issue keeps you awake at night? So what innovation challenge or issue is keeping you awake at night at the moment? It would be an interesting icebreaker, and also give us some ideas for future webinar topics. So you're amongst friends, change name to protect the innocent or the guilty. What's keeping you awake at night when it comes to innovation? Connor, lack of engagement. Connor, if you have a chance, drop a little bit more into the chat about that. So lack of engagement, is that getting employees engaged? Oh yes, Stuart, getting projects across the valley of a real tough one. COVID-19 restrictions, Alan, is an awesome one. Chris, the gap between good ideas and implementation, well, the graveyard's full of good ideas, right? And it's getting traction. That's a lovely one. Is it ML good? Taking the organization on a cultural journey. I love that.
I like that, yeah.
Is it possible? That's definitely a topic for our webinar there. Nick, productivity improvements. Yeah. Well, Nick, you're in the right place. We're hoping to give you some tools for that today. Nora, environmental perspective, innovation, adapting to that. That's a nice one. Organizational culture, always a change. Changing workflow, improving to make more smooth. That's a good one. Oh, Emma, yeah, I don't have time to innovate. We're in crisis. We don't have time to innovate. That sounds familiar. Yeah. Sarah, getting others to embrace the technology. We've always done it this way. We tried that 5 years ago. Yeah, we hear that a lot. That's probably something, Sarah, for our panel discussion at the end is, and now that we know about these cool tools, how do we get people to embrace the technology? So Sarah, keep that one at the back of your mind, and let's raise that one as our first question. That's an awesome one. Victor, the ability to capture innovation as people are just busy getting on. We call that the quarterly crunch, Victor. We're so busy trying to deliver this quarter's KPIs and numbers, right? So that's a great one. Connor, employer colleagues in healthcare being afraid of change and not prioritizing their capacity. Yeah, and I think that's cross organizations, but healthcare must be incredibly challenging at the moment. But that's everybody, right? Afraid of change, prioritizing innovation. That's a lovely one. Nihal, last one, improving old mindsets to move to a new style of working. And Nihal, we were just saying that COVID's done us a favor. As terrible as it's been, it's forced us to start transforming, innovating, finding new revenue sources. So that old mindset and transformation is such a tough one. Thank you, guys. That's too cool. I appreciate that. And I hope Well, one nice thing about this exercise is you get to see that everybody's got the same headaches and worries as you. I often think it's a little bit of a therapy session, right? Because you know you're not alone. So that's awesome. We wanted to take you on what we call an innovation tool safari. And I'm determined as soon as we get past COVID, we need an Ideas UK real safari. Definitely Cape Town, right, Sina? We'll do an innovation safari. But today we shall take you on a virtual safari of all kinds of different innovation tools in the ecosystem. We embarked on this journey as we were looking for our own collaboration tools. We had worked remotely as a team for 10 years. So Chad's based in South Africa, I'm based between the UK and South Africa, Connor in Wales. So we've been working with some of those tools, but we had to pivot our business to online really rapidly, as did most of you in March this year. So we wanted to share with you some of the tools that we've added to our toolkit and some more that are appearing every day. So some of them we know and love, some of them we can tell you about, but we haven't tested them out yet, but a very cool collection we hope to inspire you with. We will definitely record this and share the recording with you, as well as share a PDF with all the slides. So we've got to move pretty quickly. I think we've got over 50 tools, Connor, on the radar.
Yep. Yeah, we got a lot, so we have to read through it.
Yeah, so we'll work through pretty quickly, but we'll give you the PDF as well to take away as we go through. Let's do it. So we divided them up into sections, and the first one that we wanted to start with is online collaboration tools. So tools or platforms that would let you collaborate with your team virtually. And there are some amazing, amazing options out here. So the very first one that was popular even before COVID was Mural. And Mural was an online collaboration space, virtual whiteboard, post-it note tools. And it's a great platform if you wanted to run, I don't know, ideation, brainstorming, innovation sessions. Connor, what's your thoughts on Mural?
Yeah, so our sort of board of choice is Miro, but Miro looks like a great alternative. Apparently the live customer support is really good for Miro. So
brilliant. And I watch the forums quite closely, and there's definitely a fierce competition between Miro and Miro. I won't tell you the downsides to either platform because they're evolving and adapting all the time. But it's probably a 50-50 split between Miro and our platform of choice, which is Miro. Man, we've fallen in love with Miro. I told you Miro is a Spanish word, so you've got to pronounce it with passion, Miro. But it is too cool. Miro is essentially a vast online whiteboard. Onto that, you can add anything you like. So from canvases for an innovation sprint through to Kanban, agile type setups, we use it for daily stand-ups in our team. There's a website called Miroverse, which is an open source templating community, and people have built all kinds of stuff. So it is an amazing platform for 15, 20 people to get online and collaborate virtually. It's superb. You get basic functionality for free. So one can register a free Miro account. You get 3 different workspaces or boards. You can invite people to view. Very clever upsell. There's some cool features to add on, and I think will set you back about £6 a month. So we've really fallen in love with Miro as our sort of collaboration platform of choice. Connor, thoughts on Miro?
Yeah, no, I think you said it all. It's just a really polished sort of whiteboard experience, I think. So it's a really good choice, solid option.
Yeah, definitely. If you were looking for something to collaborate online, it's definitely worth a visit. This is a new one that I haven't personally visited yet, but I spotted it the other day as MindMeister, which is similar online collaboration with mind mapping functionality. Connor, thoughts on this one?
Yes, this one's really cool. It's sort of streamlined. It's kind of like the previous two, but it's more for specifically making mind maps. So if you just want the creative process and you're not too bothered about making something that's sort of presentable and you just want to get ideas down, it's really good because they say all you need is tab and enter, you know, because you're just sort of making group topics and then that goes into child topics, and yeah, you can sort of just make a big spider diagram. So it's really good for sort of maybe a sprint or something like that.
Creativity, brainstorming, definitely. And please drop into the chat, guys. If there's one here that you want to add or you've worked with and you love or hate, let us know in the chat. we'd love to see. Klaxoon is also a new one. Kind of tell us about Klaxoon.
Yeah, so Klaxoon is it's a bit like Miro and Mural. However, it's got a real emphasis on sticky notes. So it's basically it's kind of like a supplement to a video call. So you'll have so you're doing a video call, and then you can sort of bring up code, and people can enter the room, and you can just get sticky notes down basically. There's no sort of elaborate functionality of adding pictures and things like that. Sorry, no, there is. It's just, it goes into a sticky note. So it's basically just, if you want to get a load of sticky notes down on a call, this is probably the best app to do it with.
Okay, brilliant. And that is one big functionality we've really enjoyed, be it Mural, Miro, or Klaxoon, is the ability to get people to anonymously collaborate. Yeah. So a lot of our customers have got walled garden secure networks, and they can't download software, but that ability to come and collaborate on a board without any registration with an access code, that's a nice functionality. So if I hear you right, I think this could be a front runner with Miro and Mural we'll have to have a look at.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Between 3 and 5 in the morning is when you've got to look at all the new tools that have come out that day, right? Basecamp is an oldie but a goodie. It's never been one for me. I'm not a project manager by nature. Connor, what's your thoughts on Basecamp?
Yeah, so Basecamp is sort of like an all-in-one solution. I would call it a hub. I think that's a good word for it. It focuses on sort of 3 tabs at the top. It's you've got your HQ, your teams, and your project. So your HQ is basically a personal space, and you can keep documents there, your to-do lists, a message board, and the same goes for teams and projects. So you can sort of collaborate while having your own personal space. There's also something called the Campfire, which is kind of like Slack, which we'll get onto in a minute, but I'm sure a lot of people have used Slack, which is basically sort of like where the informal chat can happen, and then you can keep the real formal stuff on the message board. So I think it's a really powerful tool if you want an all-in-one solution, you know.
And I really love the Campfire idea, because I think what many of you might have found is it's really tough to keep that personal engagement with your teams. So it's one thing to have a tool, whatever it might be, but you lose that personal touch. And I love that Campfire informal chat functionality. I've heard of people having Campfire channels for pet photos, tours of your house. You can do all sorts of cool stuff just to make people human, even remotely.
Definitely.
Remotely over distance, not remotely human, right? Vimy, this is a new one. Tell us about this one, Connor.
Yeah, so Vimy is quite a bit like Basecamp, to be fair. It's sort of like Basecamp, but with a more focus on project management as opposed to just being a workspace hub sort of thing. So you do have workspaces and you have projects, but you can sort of put it into views like Gantt charts. There's a task manager. You can sort of see statistics, which might be quite handy for analytics. And yeah, so it's sort of like that hub with a lot of project management tools in it, and you can also video call from it. So fills in ticks a lot of boxes.
Okay, so nice. Another alternative for a Basecamp type solution, right?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And Sprintbase is an interesting one. We've been experimenting with Sprintbase. Also, online collaboration tool focused towards design thinking and sprints. It's a little bit more structured, so it could work better if you want a more structured guided approach than a Mural or a Miro. We haven't used it with customers yet, but it's definitely an interesting approach. And they offer you like a staggered licensing fee where you buy a license and you can invite collaborators to join you. So I think if you're like a UX designer or someone working with customers in co-creation, Sprintbase could be a nice structured environment that lets you bring in people and collaborate on a short-term basis. Connor, what was your thoughts on Sprintbase?
Yeah, Sprintbase is really interesting. It's got a real emphasis on sprints, believe it or not. So yeah, I think it's really useful if you're just trying to do a lot of these sprints, and it's got workspace as well as sticky notes. So it's sort of got those mural functions, and but coinciding with the sort of workspaces to collaborate on an overall sort of level, you know. So definitely really powerful.
Yeah, another competitor or front runner to do, or Miro, Klaxoon, and Mural. Figma, so Figma is also an interesting one. That was a new one I think you spotted the other day, Connor. Tell us a bit about Figma.
Yeah, so this one's really interesting. It's a lot like the Mural and Miro, but it's got a real emphasis on design, like sort of UI design in specific. It's kind of like PowerPoint in that you can make these boards and then have them link to other boards. So what you can essentially do is you can make mock sort of computer screens and mobile screens, and you can sort of place these buttons onto those screens and have those buttons actually linked to other screens in order to make prototypes of apps and things like that. So it's a really powerful tool if you're looking to go from like, you know, a design to prototype and then eventually code some sort of software. So it works a lot like Mural and Miro, but it's just got that sort of linear flow that you can add to it to sort of tell a story through the whole thing. So
brilliant. And actually that makes me think we almost need another section in this presentation, which is a prototyping tools section. So we'll have to add that. And then interesting you mentioned the prototype, Connor, because I saw this morning Miro's introduced new functionality to do wireframe prototyping.
Ooh.
So that's the trick with this, guys, is you have to sort of, not have to, because that's why I guess you have webinars like this, but these tools are evolving and changing all the time. So we spend a couple of minutes every day just scanning the environment. And Connor, I think you might have to do your own podcast, a weekly update to what's changed in the innovation tools workspace, right? Add that to our list. So Miro's also got a prototyping type functionality, wireframe functionality built in. So I really love this because depending on what you want to do with this, you could do a sprint, create some wireframing or prototyping solutions, and most of them have got functionality to run customer interviews within that platform. So Mural, Miro, Figma, you can literally invite customers in. There's chats, there's video, there's communication functionality. You could run everything remotely on one platform. So that's very, very cool. Cool. Thanks, Connor. Thanks for that one. Drop into the chat. Has anyone seen any of these? Love any of these? Hate any of these? We'd love to hear what you're thinking. So let us know as we go. The next section that we wanted to tell you a little bit about was webinar software. So there are the usual suspects, but there's a couple of new functionalities coming up. We just wanted to share with you, sorry. This is my personal favorite. I love Zoom just because it's super intuitive and easy. And if you have enough gray hair like me, it needs to be intuitive and easy. So I love Zoom. I have a customer that's involved in the US defense industry, and they tell me that the security is A-rated. So there was that fear that there were some security issues with Zoom, but I'm told that that's not the case, and many government organizations are using Zoom. Alan, yeah, thanks for that. Alan's using Slide all the time at work for questions and polls. So the app Slide, we'll have to add that one in. Alan, cheers for that one. So Zoom is my favorite. Connor, thoughts on Zoom? Love, hate?
Yeah, Zoom is Zoom. You know, I think everyone's used Zoom since a few months ago, haven't they? Definitely. So I think from a technical standpoint, it's pretty much top notch at the minute. You know, the calls are just so smooth. So yeah, it's definitely got a few unique functions. You can sort of put stickers down, things like that. It's really cool. But overall, it's just a top-notch sort of video call service. So
yeah, beautiful breakout functionality.
A good choice, yeah.
Yeah, very, very cool. Let's have a look at some alternatives, though. I haven't used Demio, Connor. Tell us about Demio.
Yeah, so Demio is really interesting. It's a webinar service, and it's got just so many features. You know, so you can cast live, but you can also do automated webinars. So from a marketing standpoint, that's really useful because obviously it's quite hands off. Obviously, automated can be a double-edged sword. Sometimes they can seem a bit inauthentic, but it's got a good live functionality as well, so you can use it however you want, really. So yeah, you can also do on-demand as well. You know, have people register for something and then get an on-demand webinar, which is very hands-off. During a webinar, you can also upload resources, which is really useful. There's statistics, so how many messages you got, how many people were in the webinar, things like that. You can record like in Zoom, which is quite handy, and apparently there's good customer support for it. So yeah, definitely a good option.
Yeah, and as Stuart says, we're moving across to Blue Jeans from Zoom. So Stuart, that's another one to add to the list. You're right. So Blue Jeans.
There's so many.
Yeah, I've enjoyed using Blue Jeans. It's probably more of a corporate solution, but good functionality, stable. So that's a good one. Webinar Geek, tell us about Webinar Geek.
Yeah, so Webinar Geek is quite similar. You can do live, automated, and on-demand like the previous one. The really cool thing about Webinar Geek is you can actually embed the registration forms into your website. So you can sort of make it seem really professional if you want to do a big webinar, because obviously a lot of these services, you do have to register for the services before you can actually even attend a webinar. But if you can embed a registration form, and then just, the user can then sign up and then just click a link and they're in, sort of thing. So it's quite simple. You can also import a contact list, which is quite a good feature. So if you have a big contact list and you just want to get them all into one webinar, this is a really good option.
So this could be sales function or user interviews. Yeah,
Definitely,
good. Yeah. GoToWebinar, I guess this is an oldie but a goodie.
Yes.
Is that, yeah, works, good functionality, perhaps not as intuitive as some of the others, but solid.
Yeah, it's got some good automated features as well. It sends automated reminder emails in a really good way, and it's got an automated registration page just made for you, so there's no hassle there, and there's some good analytics and reports. But yeah, I think a lot of people use this one. So
that's a good one. Slido is an interesting one. Tell us about that.
Yes, Slido is it's not an all-in-one solution, so you'd still need to use Zoom or something like that. But what it essentially is it's like PowerPoint, apart from other people can sort of hop on the exact same presentation as the speaker. So right now we're sort of casting the presentation to everyone here. But for this one, we could have just put, if we were using Slido, we could have just put a QR code up on the screen and provided a code, and everyone could have logged in on their phones and devices and sort of followed along. So it's really good if you want to just sort of convey really high quality slides and have people follow along on their own devices.
Yeah. So,
yeah, and you can sort of have Q&As and stuff.
I hadn't clocked that Slido could do that to webinar. I'd used Slido before for like polls, engagement, word clouds, which we must actually use next time.
I was about to say, yeah, that's the big feature. You can do Q&As and polls, so there's a lot of user interaction there as well.
Yeah, and so Stuart uses Slido for Q&A tools as well. Yeah, for dial-in sessions. We'll use it next time, Stuart. That's a good one. And Connor says we use Mentimeter, which is interactive and visually pleasing. Okay, let's add that to the list. Mentimeter, Connor, thanks for that. We're going to add that to the list. Nice one. Loom. Connor, tell us about Loom.
Yeah, so Loom is it's really good. So you can sort of record things. You can record your screen and then really quickly send out the link to people. So this is really good if you just want to make a lot of videos and just have people view them. So it can be in the form of a Chrome extension, which I think is really cool. So you just click record on the Chrome extension, be in the top right, and then you can put a face cam on it. It's really simple. You just hit record and you stop recording. It will take you to a screen where you can just trim it a little bit if you maybe went over what you want to record. And then there's just a link and you can shoot it out to people, and they can really easily just view video. So it's really useful, I think.
Yeah, so definitely I'd say voiceover video, screen capture, this is a goodie and easy to use, right?
Yeah, definitely easy to use. I'd say that's the main feature, yeah.
Brilliant. And Crowdcast was one I found recently. What's your thoughts on Crowdcast?
Yeah, so I think Crowdcast is a really good one. It's sort of like Demio. It's a webinar service, but this one really feels like an event because you can pack loads of people into it, and it seems quite organized because you can sort of put timestamps when people ask questions and things like that. So it's really, I think it's a really good option for hosting a lot of people. You can also do split screen on it, which is quite cool. So if we just want to have our face cams on it and present, then you don't need to have, like on Zoom, one person be the main and then it flash to the other person. You can just have it split down the middle. So I think it's really useful for maybe if you want to do a large company-wide webinar or something like that. So yeah, and you got a chat box on the side. So it's kind of like just a really good sort of live streaming service in general.
Yeah, okay, so we'll have to have a think about Crowdcast for events, actually. Alan's got a comment. We use IRBA for virtual whiteboard work, so we're going to have to check out that one, Alan. That sounds like a good one. Chris, we've been using Mentimeter a fair bit. Our clients found the access a bit easier than Slido. So Chris, thanks. That's really useful feedback. We'll add Mentimeter. That's too cool. And Nora's got a question, Connor. Does Loom hide credentials on your screen? And I'm not sure.
Sorry, you cut out. Do you say, does it hide credentials?
Yes, I guess the question is, can you choose what you share on your screen? Was it just a screen capture?
So no, it is just a screen capture. I think they were going for easy to use. What you could do is if you say you're trying to go through a purchasing process or something like that, you could go into the editor after it and trim that part out. I mean, that could be a dangerous game, so you have to make sure that you did trim it out, definitely. But yeah, there's definitely post-editing, so you can cut certain sections out. Other than that, you can't actually just have them automatically blur out. So.
Okay, so Nora, I hope that helps you a little bit. Sarah is also using Mentimeter at events, so Sarah, thanks for that. We've got to add it to the list. We'll have to check that one out. The next section we wanted to move on to, and I know we've got to work quickly. So Stuart's got a comment. We tried concept board last week. Another one, Stuart. Yeah, okay, we added that to the list. And these things are evolving all the time. So cheers for that. We'll have to add that and we're going to have like a live update blog or something for the scene, because it's going to be an ongoing thing.
We need the sequel.
Yeah, our favorite communications apps very quickly. Slack is an oldie from ICT space, but works beautifully. We use Slack and absolutely love it for having channels for projects, channels for informal chats. We've embedded Miro and Zoom into Slack. It's very easy and cheap to use. I'm a big fan of Slack. Connor, thoughts on Slack?
Yeah, Slack is really good. I mean, it really keeps that aesthetic of chat boxes, but you can use it for so much more. You know, there's if you I use mine for notes a lot. You know, I just type the message to myself, and it encourages you to do that. You know, there's a Slack bot that pops up and gives you help a lot of the time. And I think the channels are just really useful. So you can make a channel for every aspect of your business if you want to. We personally have quite a few channels, don't we, Grant? So you can sort of really separate the conversation out into manageable chunks, and then there's a lot of file storage as well. So you know, sending each other files for it is just so seamless. So yeah, it's a really solid option in general.
If I remember correctly, Slack was created by programmers that didn't want to keep getting distracted by email. And I do love that functionality of not having to scour my email for something. I head to the channel and my attachments, everything I want is there. Alan's using MS Teams. So Alan, we're a fan of MS Teams. So we will chat about that one. That's a good one. It's next on the slides. I thought that being a Microsoft product, it might have less functionality, but we've run learning programs on Teams and loved it. Downside is you've got to create manually your breakout rooms, which is not quite as seamless, but I know that's a function they're working on. But I found Teams a very good option for large corporate companies and very easy to use. Anything else on Teams, Connor?
Yeah, so I think the big benefit here is that it's Microsoft, so they have access to all the Microsoft software. So you can sync your Outlook calendar, and then you can you can add lots of channels like in Slack as well, which is really handy. And then you can actually co-edit Microsoft Word things as well. So you like how a lot of you probably use Google, where you can all jump onto one Google Doc and collaborate on it. Well, Microsoft sort of creates that environment just in their own sort of ecosystem with all the Microsoft software. So it's a really good option if everyone in your company uses Microsoft, definitely.
Yeah, stable. And a trick, Connor said, using Teams apart from the breakout rooms, we've had no issues. Very happy with it. Integrating to SharePoint, absolutely. And the trick we found, Connor, is if you create these create a meeting invite and just share the meeting code. We use those as breakout rooms. So you create like a week-long meeting and you just share the access code, and then people could dip in and out of those and the sort of main meeting room. And that gave us a breakout room functionality when we needed it. So that's a really good comment. Google Hangouts. Why don't we use Google Hangouts, Connor? How come everybody forgot about Google Hangouts?
I'm not sure. It's a good. People did sort of forget about it, didn't they? It's definitely a solid option. So I think more people should use it. So I mean, you do need a Google account. So kind of like how Microsoft Teams is all Microsoft third-party software. Google was very much in the Google ecosystem. So yeah, it's really simple to use. You can sort of just make a link and share it. And you can send it from the actual system as well. So you can just type in people's emails and the invite just shoots out to them. And then yeah, it's just it's a really good sort of video software. It's all in browser, so you don't need any external software. So that might be an advantage over Zoom or something like that. But it's definitely a really good option.
Yeah, brilliant. And up to 250 people, I'm told now. So Nihal, a really good comment. MS Teams will allow people to access meetings without downloading anything, which is a very nice functionality. So really good point. And Stuart, you're quite right. Google Meet Me is the new preferred option to Hangouts, better security. So, and I think Stuart, you're right. I think the Meet Me is a play to the Zoom space. And that's going to be very interesting to see where this leads. Should have bought Zoom shares. We missed it. But Meet Me is going to be interesting to track. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Speak Up, Connor, this is one you found. Tell us about it. Yeah,
so this is a lot like Slack. It's a place where everyone can be central and sort of chat to each other. I describe it as another hub, you know. A really cool feature about this one is you can actually brand it. So it's an app that you can distribute around your company, and then you can actually put your own branding on it to make it look really professional. So it's definitely good for large companies. It's got a lot of integration, so you can use a lot of third-party software with it. It's definitely a solid option, and I think it's quite upcoming. So I think they might add new features as well. So
okay, one to watch. So we're gonna have to check this one out. Okay. FlowDoc is also a new one. Tell us about FlowDoc.
Yeah, so this one's again a lot like Slack. It's a communication channel. This one's it's really color coordinated, which it sounds odd, but it's quite useful because everyone's got their own color, and it, you know, I think if you're quite a visual thinker, it might be good to organize things in your head that way. It works on an inbox as well, so if you used to email, it might be a bit more intuitive than Slack for you. But yeah, it's basically it's an alternative for a communication channel, and it seems quite a good option.
Okay, brilliant. All right, online document collaboration. We've got to move quick. We're on a time deadline here. Box, which, if I'm correct, is a Microsoft product, online document storage, right?
Yeah, definitely. So this one's sort of geared towards enterprise. So it's got a lot of business functionality. All the cloud software is sort of now sort of adapted to enterprise, but this one was sort of in business functionality from the very start. So it's got some really good use if you're using it in a business. So yeah, it's got versioning, so that's really good for if you don't want to lose your work, you just go back and grab another version. And it's got yeah, and then going back to the business thing, it's got a lot of business integration. So if you use sort of like Salesforce and things like that, it's got some good integrations for them as well.
Brilliant. Teams has got a great backup solution, obviously part of the Microsoft 365 platform. So we definitely use the Teams sort of collaboration, document sharing, it all links together really nicely. OneDrive is the Microsoft collaboration platform and integrates into Teams, right? So I think that's probably a fairly common one.
Yeah, I mean, it's very common. All the cloud functionality, it's all sort of molded together, and they've found a really solid option for people storing files. One unique thing that OneDrive has is it's got a personal vault. So if you're really security conscious and you want to keep you know, something really secure, then you put it in this security vault, which is sort of like it's a file, it's a folder, sorry, but you need two-step verification to get into it. So it's super secure. So it's yes, it's really good for security conscious people. This one.
I did not know that, Connor. Nicely done. That's brilliant. I'll have to look up the vault function. Cool. Google Drive, also one we're using. Connor Price is also a big fan of OneDrive. Share, collaborate, share folders with external colleagues. Yeah, nice functionality. Google Drive we use, Connor. So yeah, similar functionality, I guess.
Yeah, very similar. It's really, I'd say this is a premium option if you're just looking for personal storage. Really good for sort of holding photos and things like that. Another thing that I really like about it is it's got really good video playback. So if you handle a lot of videos, it uses the YouTube video player. So that doesn't mean it uploads it to YouTube automatically or anything like that. It just means that it uses the same video player as YouTube uses. And it's probably the best video player out there. And a little nerdy stat that I really liked was the maximum file size is 5 terabytes. So you can upload a 5 terabyte file to it, which is pretty cool.
Brilliant. That is cool to know.
I'm not sure how handy that is. I don't know if it's using 5 terabytes.
Well, 5G's coming. Yeah. Dropbox, I haven't used for a while. Connor, thoughts on Dropbox?
Yeah, so I think this one has it's basically a solid option for a cloud service, but this one's got some good collaboration tools, considering it's not Microsoft or Google. It's got something called Papers, which it's sort of like their own file type, but it converts really nicely into the sort of Microsoft things that you're used to using already. So it's a really good option. I'd say the thing that this has over the other ones is it's got really fast syncing. So if you install the actual software, you can hook it up so that it'll actually automatically sync and back up things that are already on your computer without you having to manually press anything. So it's a really good option if you just want everything on your computer backed up to a cloud service, I'd say.
Brilliant. And Dropbox has the best pitch video. If you're ever bored, go and Google Dropbox's investor pitch video, and it's a paper mock-up drawing, and it's too cool. It was the first video they used to get their first round of funding. Very, very cool. So that auto sync thing was very cool. Flightpath is a new one. Connor, tell us about Flightpath.
Yeah, so I'm not actually as familiar with Flightpath as the other ones, but I think it's really good if you're into entrepreneurship and innovation. It's I think it sort of hubifies. It's a new word. So yeah, how Basecamp is sort of like a hub. It's sort of it makes a hub out of your document sharing and cloud storage. So it's really useful if you want kind of like an all-in-one solution, I think. So yeah, it's got some channels and things like that.
And actually, I shouldn't have put you on the spot. I was the one that found Flightpath, so I should have done my homework on that. Apologies. But yeah, it looks interesting, and it was a way to collaborate with innovation programs. So I was interested. I need to do a bit more work on that, but interesting one to research. Very quickly, project management, and then we're going to get into productivity. I know we're on a time deadline, guys. Asana, old faithful in terms of project management. Connor, love or hate?
Yeah, I think you can love or hate it. I think it's just it's a really solid option. You know, it's really just your basic project management, isn't it? Really, it's got tasks, and it's you can put in different views. So I'd say if you are going to separate from the other ones, the really cool thing is that you can just you can view the same information in different views. So you can sort of put it into a Gantt chart view, like a sort of Excel spreadsheet sort of view. So if you're the kind of person who wants to see the data in lots of different ways, this is a really good option. But other than that, it's just making tasks and putting deadlines on them and things like that. So it's your basic sort of project management. It's what you'd expect.
Cheers. That's actually really useful differentiation. I know Trello is one of your favorites.
Project management.
Yeah.
I'd say Monday is pretty cool. We'll get back to that in a minute. Yeah.
Yeah. Trello probably similar to Asana, although they'll be very upset if we say that. But another project management platform, right? I know a lot of startups that use Trello.
Yeah, so Trello's quite a unique one. It works in boards, so it's really structured. I mean, you can see from this little diagram from the webpage, it does sort of look like that. It's you put boards next to each other, and then you put blocks within the boards, and that sort of makes a list. So I think it's really good for visually taking in the information, because it sort of makes these. It's like you know, scrolling on a social media app. You know, it makes these little news feeds of information, which can be really useful. So yeah, I think this one's really good if you don't like drilling into stuff and going to different screens. You just want it all in front of you.
Brilliant, that's awesome. Airtable, interesting one.
Yeah, so Airtable is for people. So if you like Excel and you want a project management tool, it's probably one for you, because everything sort of goes into a spreadsheet. And it's sort of like a database of organization in a way. You set deadlines from within the spreadsheet sort of view, and it's just a big grid. So if you like big grids, it's really good. There's also a calendar view, which is obviously really handy, and you can embed this into the web. So it's really handy if you have like sort of an intranet or something like that. You can add those views into onto maybe your in-company web page, and then you can sort of make custom forms from these spreadsheets. So it's really handy, I think.
Brilliant. Monday, this is your favorite. Tell us a bit about Monday.
Yeah, definitely. So Monday is it's quite a bit different from Asana. I'd compare it closest to Asana, but this one works in pulses. So you're not necessarily working in deadlines, tasks, and projects and things like that. Everything is a pulse, and you set it sort of like an objective, a deadline, and things like that. So it's really customizable because these pulses can be anything you want them to be. And then you can sort of, once you've made all these pulses and bring them in to one sort of view, then you can make automatic Gantt charts from it and things like that. So it's really good if you want something highly customizable and program it in and then view it from a Gantt chart.
Brilliant. And comment from Chris, really enjoying this. Thanks, Chris. Connor, we've got to do a weekly Ideas UK Toolkit podcast. That's what's coming next. This is awesome.
Podcast.
Yeah. Right, Notion. This is a new one. I haven't seen this one. Tell us about it.
Oh, Notion is my favorite. I use it every day.
So
I would describe it as a hybrid between Evernote, which I think a few people are familiar with, or just the Notes app on your phone, crossed with Slack. So it's got, so it's really cool. Like Slack, you can log into different workspaces. So if you sort of work part-time for one company and part-time for another, you can use Notion for both of those and just click a button and log into a different one. But it works in blocks. So these blocks can be anything you want them to be, and you just plug in one block after another. It could be a plain bit of text, an image, a bullet point, something like that, and you can basically move these blocks around. So you can move whole sections of a really long note page and just bring it up to the top or something like that. And then those blocks can be, there's such a variety of things they can be. They can be like hyperlinks to other pages and things like that. So you can sort of make an intranet in a way, like it's a huge, if you want to make like a huge information source that everyone has access to and everyone can add to, then this is a really good option. There's also lots of templates for it. So kind of like Miro, you can, if you have an idea for a Notion page that you want to make, it's worth looking on the template page because there's usually one for it. So
brilliant. And nice comment from Nihal. Very useful tools. I'm going to try them all tonight. Nihal, try them all. You get gray hair like me, but very, very cool and more to come. Sorry guys, I know we're very tight on time, but we just we couldn't decide which to leave out, so we're going to move quickly. Very, very quickly, Connor, Jira.
Yeah, so this one is like Asana, but for devs, so software developers. It's really useful. So yeah, we'll breeze through it, but it's basically a project management tool, but you can add sort of bugs in and sort of things like that, so like issues within the software, and you can make your own filters. It's similar to Fogbugs if anyone's used that. That one's a really techie one. But yeah, this one's really good if you're managing tickets and sort of problems within a piece of software. It's a really good option.
Yeah, brilliant. And Chris, thanks for dialing in. Chris has got to head to another meeting, but I'm going to answer that question during the quick discussion at the end, Chris. So we'll record it and answer that question. Cheers for that. All right. Very last section, our favorite personal productivity apps, some of the new ones that I love. So very quickly, Todoist, Connor?
Yeah, this one's just a really simple to-do list, really. So this is from Google. So again, it's really in the Google ecosystem.
I haven't seen this. How do you find all of these?
Yeah, so this one does have a big emphasis on simplicity. But one thing you can do is you can share to-dos with Google accounts, and everyone has a Google account. So it's really handy for your personal to-do list if you want to just hand out some to-dos to other people, if you know what I mean, in a really simple way.
I'm downloading that as we speak. Yeah. Okay. Pocket.
So yeah, this is one that I think Grant could use, to be honest. So this one's for
I've got a pocket.
this one's for saving web articles in a really controlled manner. So it's really cool. It's kind of like Pinterest, if anyone's used that, where you can create these links to other parts of the web. Apart from what this one does is it really does just get all of the articles into sort of one news feed. So imagine if you're scrolling through your Facebook feed, apart from instead of other people's comments and things, it's your own articles that you've saved to Pocket. So it's really good for if you just want to save articles for later. Then one cool function is it actually has audio read. So I read so slowly, so it'll actually read it out to you in headphones, which is
that's awesome.
Yeah,
very, very cool. That's heading towards most useful one for the day. Actually, that's brilliant. Google Keep, another one I haven't seen. How's this?
This one's this one's again in the Google ecosystem. This one doesn't necessarily have to be in the ecosystem. It's not got many Google integrations, I don't think. But it's kind of like Pocket, apart from everything is on a sticky note. So it's for capturing ideas more so than articles, but you can put links and images into them. So yeah, this is another sort of save for later note app. So it's really good if you just taken a lot of information from the internet and you just got to save it somewhere and process it later. This one's a really good one to use.
Very cool, very cool. All right, what have we got next? Well done. Sorry guys, I've gone too far back. Apologies, that's me.
Right, focus me.
Yeah. I needed to focus me. Sorry, I'm back. I'm focused. I haven't seen this one, so tell me about this.
Oh, this one's amazing. This one saved me from a video game binge after uni. So yeah, I spent about 2 weeks just playing video games non-stop, and I was like, this has to stop. So I installed this on my computer, and I'd be slaying a dragon, and there'd be a notification in the corner that says your video, this will end in 5 minutes, and eventually the software just closes down. So yeah, there's a lot of blocking sort of tools to use, but this one's really good because it can block any file path on your computer. So if your distractions aren't just in the web browser and it's sort of other programs and things like that, you can block them on sort of schedules and things like that. So it's really useful. And I will say, if you're looking to put this company wide, an interesting way is to use it in the reverse sense, in that you can block work emails and things like that after a certain amount of hours. If you're any workaholics, it's really good to sort of contain it. Yeah. And of course, distractions puts it in your hands. So it's really Brilliant. It's a really good tool. Yeah.
I think this could be a whole startup operation, helping companies get their remote workers to focus. I love that.
Oh,
Stay Focused, similar?
Yeah, Stay Focused, very similar. I would say that Stay Focused is more simple to use. It's a browser add-on, so it's not as foolproof as the previous one, because you could just open another browser. But if you, of course, put the add-on on all your browsers, then it works really well. But yeah, this will essentially give you sort of like, you can program it so you only have 1 hour of Twitter a day, and it's really good for staying focused. But yeah, it's a lot more simple to install, because you just get the add-on, program it in, and then it works quite seamlessly. So it's a really good option.
Brilliant.
It's got a lot of humorous dialogue as well.
Brain FM, I know this is one of your favorites.
Brain FM is it's one of my favorites. I used it a lot in university, actually. It's sort of like science music. So on Spotify and things like that, there's a lot of playlists that will increase your focus. You don't want a lot of vocals and things like that in music to focus. So this one is scientifically proven to sort of to increase your to put you into a flow state, really. So if you just need to get something done and it's going to take you 3 hours, it might be worth getting an account on Brain FM and sort of putting it on. It's got three separate playlists. It's got focus, sleep, and relax, and it will just sort of automate the playlist for you. So there's no going on to the next track. It's just, it flows, sort of flows into a whole 3 hour session. So it's just really good for keeping focus for long periods of time. Really.
Brilliant. Well, I tell you, for remote workers with kids, this could be one. So one of my favorites, finally, X.AI. I tried this out about 3 years ago, and it worked superbly. It's an AI meeting scheduler. And then my meeting scheduler went mental on one of my customers, so I stopped using it, but it's come back with a vengeance. You can have an automated email scheduler powered by AI, all for free. And then obviously there's some paid versions with lots more features. But I love this. It saves me a good few hours a week. If you need to schedule calls with people, juggle diaries, X.AI is amazing. You can personify your assistant, so you can have Amy, Andrew, or a gender neutral assistant if you'd like. The world's your oyster, and it's superb. So for me, this is my favorite today. Time and date, also one of my favorites. If you're the Nihal question, are we going to get a PDF? Definitely, we'll share a PDF of all the apps today. I will add in a couple of the others. Time and date, it will let you do round the world meeting planning. So I will often have calls with people across multiple countries, and it's a nightmare to, in your mind, find the right slots. So I know there are other apps for this, but this will visually let you align time zones. So it's also one of the ones I've been using a lot lately, is the World Clock Meeting Planner functionality. It's a cheat because it's not an app, it's just a website, but really been helpful to me. All right, guys, sorry, we've run late. Zena, apologies, we've run a bit late. We've got a couple of questions. Do you want to introduce our guest panelist today, Zena?
Yeah, so we've also got Stuart on the line from the MOD, who heads up innovation for the MOD. So he's already popped a couple of comments in. But first, thank you to you guys. There are so many there that I've never even heard of. In fact, most of them, let's be honest, I haven't heard of. Definitely ones I'm going to check out are Loom. I love Pocket, Notion. Oh, so many to choose from. So the guys that have already said they're going to go through these one by one, I hope they set several days aside, because that's going to take a lot of going through. But all great. So have we got any questions coming up?
Yes, I think we're going to pick the one from Chris first, which was just reflecting on how little of this you see in mainstream public service, which might be a reflection of how widespread innovation is. And Chris, it's not just public service. From my experience in large corporates, probably similar. And Stuart, have you got some thoughts on that?
Sorry.
Yeah, so I think from a lot of point of views, it's just visibility of what's there on the marketplace and having the time to go and find stuff. So the last time I did a search for our ideas management platform, there was over 300 available, and that was just looking at ideas management stuff without all of the conference tools and everything else. So yeah, I think you'd probably have to dedicate quite a bit of your career to finding and reviewing all the different products which are available, which is probably the main reason why we don't see a lot of them.
Yeah, fair point, actually, that's true. We've got a question here. Our organization won't let us use Zoom to present our webinars due to security issues, but we're allowed to join other Zoom webinars if we want to join via our browser. I would like to hear more about the A-rated security. Stuart, any thoughts on that? I know that's quite a tough question.
Yeah, so I think it's down to, for us, where the servers are located. So from an MOD point of view, data has to be in the UK when it's at rest, or our cyber guys get very twitchy. And the Zoom servers aren't UK based, which is the main reason why we're moving away from it. And Blue Jeans, we can do an on-premise installation on our own infrastructure, which means we know where the data is when it's at rest without any issues at all. And I think from that A-rated security viewpoint, that's the key thing for us. I think Zoom has improved dramatically since the start of the pandemic. They realized they'd become the platform of choice. They worked really hard to resolve a lot of their problems, which previously weren't problems, because it was that whole, it was designed to be installed on your systems and sort of an on-premise thing. So a lot of the things weren't required to be considered. So unfortunate consequence of falling into the public light, as it were.
Brilliant. And Emma's got a question here. Anticipating some colleagues returning to the office soon, are there any communication tools we can use that will help us to facilitate meetings with both remote and in-person attendees? We've tried our best with this in the past, but never really cracked it, especially when it comes to group work within a larger meeting with on and offline attendees. So I might jump into this and then hand it over to Stuart and Connor. But Emma, we've done this with Miro fairly successfully, and I think the trick is just to have a very strong facilitator in the room. So we've had some customers with people in a room, socially distanced in the office, and then working remotely. So I think if you're confident with your platform and you've got a very good person and organization that can facilitate that and keep everybody aligned, I think you can do better than we used to at online and face-to-face combined. Stuart, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think I would go along with that one. It's more about behaviours than the chair, rather than the tool. So if everyone's equal footing on the tool, and you've got a good chair that remembers there are people outside of the room, then I think that's the key to that one, rather than any particular tool being the solution.
Yeah, brilliant. And I see thanks from Sarah and Luke. We better get on to the last few slides. We're out of time. Zena, sorry for that. Do you want to do the last few slides?
No, great session, guys. Thank you. And just to say that there are lots more knowledge nuggets coming up. As we alluded to at the start, we've got one a month. So do tune in. I'll send you the links to register. So yeah, get those dates in your diary now.
Oh, and tell us about the Ideas of the UK, Ideas of the Year competition. Yeah,
I know. So the Idea of the Year competition this year is open. We are completely virtual, so we will be checking out some of these tools to make the competition even more engaging, but an amazing opportunity to really recognise some of your employees that even despite the terrible times we've been going through recently have really come to the forefront with their ideas, and their ideas have been implemented to support your businesses. So great opportunity, free for all Ideas UK members to enter. So really is nothing stopping you. And as I say, this year all virtual. So if you want to know more about our Ideas UK Idea of the Year competition, do get in touch soon.
Amazing. So that's one not to miss. There's the Ideas UK website, Zena's email address and Twitter. Yeah, so
absolutely. Follow us on Twitter, Ideas UK Official.
Yeah. Nicely done. And last but not least, we'd love to share a 50% off voucher for some of our online training events. So if you want to learn a bit more about design thinking for remote teams and a couple of other topics we have running, we're adding all the time, just drop Connor an email, sales@innovationtrainingnetwork.com, and Connor will happily send you a voucher code and let you know what programs we've got coming up.
That's great news, Grant. Thank you.
Yeah, with 1 minute to spare. So that was a cool session and lots to add, I think.
That was fantastic. Really appreciate. Thank you for everyone's engagement as well. Loads of questions and comments coming in throughout, which is really good to know. So yeah, as I say, do join us. We'll send out the registration link for the next session in August, and we look forward to another fantastic session, guys. So thank you very much.
Brilliant. And thanks, Stuart, for joining us, our panelist.
Yep, no worries. Thank you.
And Connor, the digital boy wonder, we hire him out for kids' parties.
I know. I'm going to stay in touch with you.
It's a podcast. We're starting a podcast. Podcast. It's coming. All right, guys. Lovely to have you joining us. We'll be around. Connor and I will be around for a couple of minutes. If anyone else has got any questions, happy to take them. But on the hour, I know most of you have got to jump back on the treadmill.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, cheers. Okay, bye.
Cheers. Bye. All right, good.